What can I say about my early high school years? To put it lightly, they were a nightmare. A carnival of horror that came to town every day. Yeah, Charlie, better run home to mommy. Sam, the school's most brutal boy, sneered at me, his cronies joining in on the laughter. I only grunted and slung my bag over my shoulder heading home. Home was my sanctuary. But even then, it was difficult to shake off the venomous words, the mocking laughter, and the lingering humiliation. It's all right, Mom. I'd lie to her. I'm just tired. What made it worse was Amelia, the outcast girl I'd been secretly pining for. Amelia. I'd whisper her name alone in my room, imagining a world where she'd smile at me, not with pity, but with fondness. But that was then, and a lot can change in a summer break. The summer break arrived like a reprieve. I said my temporary goodbyes to the grimy lockers, the echoing hallways, and, of course, my tormentors. Little did they know that the Charlie they loved to torment wouldn't be coming back. I still remember my dad's garage, where I spent countless hours, pumping iron, working up a sweat, gritting my teeth through the pain. I was changing, and I could feel it. Not just physically, but inside. I was going stronger and more confident. Summer ended and the school year began. I walked into school a new persona. Not Charlie, but Chad. I made sure not to catch anyone's eyes, to remain under the radar. I wanted my transformation to be a surprise. I heard there's a new guy. Chad. The whispers began. I wonder what he's like. The popular girl, Veronica, used to constant attention, noticed me. She pranced over with a playful twinkle in her eye. Hey, you're the new guy, right, Chad? Yeah, I said, trying to appear nonchalant, as if popular girls talked to me all the time. She smiled, a hint of interest in her eyes. How about we hang out later? I felt a rush of power. Here was a chance for payback. With a smirk, I leaned in and replied, Nah, I've got better things to do. Veronica stood there stunned while I walked away, smug satisfaction spreading throughout me. The once bullied, now the one calling the shots. The feeling was intoxicating, but this was just the start. The school was buzzing with the news of Veronica's rejection. It felt good to see the surprised faces. The once invisible me now rejecting the most popular girl. But that was only part of the plan. Meanwhile, as Chad, I had started to gather a following of sorts. The school was slowly turning into a place where I wanted to be. But I had unfinished business. A secret that needed to be revealed. Walking into an empty classroom, I saw Veronica and Mr. Thompson in a compromising situation. My heart raced as I quietly pulled out my phone and recorded the whole thing. There was my ticket to ultimate victory. Later at the local diner, I showed the video to Amelia, the girl I'd been crushing on since forever. She looked at me, her eyes wide, and then a fierce determination replaced the surprise. Chad? She started, and I interrupted. It's Charlie for you. She nodded, a hint of a smile in her eyes. Charlie? We need to expose this. I nodded. I have a plan. The town festival arrived with much fanfare. Amelia and I were on a Ferris wheel enjoying the night view when the wheel stopped at the top. It was peaceful until Veronica forced her way into our cabin as the wheel came down. I know who you really are, Charlie, she smirked. Guess what, Veronica? I retorted, my voice steady. I know something too. Her smirk fell as I revealed her secret with Mr. Thompson, and just like that, the tables were turned. The game had truly begun. When Veronica learned about my little secret, she retaliated. A twisted game of blackmail and threats started to unfold. She had her hooks deep into the school's social fabric, and so did I. Charlie, she said one day, cornering me in the school hallway. I could ruin you. I met her gaze head on, my eyes filled with defiance. Try me, I responded. Soon enough, Veronica started stirring the pot. She dropped hints, whispered in ears, fueled the gossip mill. Soon enough, my secret was out. The former bullies, now reformed thanks to my intervention, started questioning my identity. One day I was cornered by them. I was prepared this time. I knew how to defend myself.
"Why don't you just admit it?"
they probed.
"We know you're Charlie."
"I have no idea what you're talking about," I retorted, holding my ground. The game went back and forth, but I had an ace up my sleeve. I had evidence of Veronica's manipulation, her secret deal with Mr. Thompson. I realized it was time to bring it into the light. I approached the principal with Amelia by my side and revealed everything. The proof was undeniable. Veronica and Mr. Thompson were called in and the truth finally came out. Veronica's manipulation, my secret identity, all was exposed. It was a whirlwind of events that left the school reeling. After all of this, I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The truth was out, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally free. The dust from my confrontation with my former tormentors had barely settled when Brad, the ringleader, approached me. His brutish face showed me a rare expression of surprise.
"You've got guts, new kid,"
he said, a reluctant respect glinting in his eyes. "Is that an invitation to your cool club?" I retorted, sarcasm dripping from my words. To my surprise, it was. The bullies, impressed by my courage, started seeing me in a new light. But I had a different agenda. Years of their torment hadn't gone forgotten. "Let's just say we start fresh," I proposed, my plan already brewing in my mind. They agreed, and the next few weeks were a masterclass in manipulation as I turned confidant, friend, and finally, a weapon of their destruction. One by one, I started to leak their secrets, the whispers spreading like wildfire through the school. "Did you know Brad cheated on his girlfriend?" I'd casually drop into conversations, watching the ripple effects with satisfaction. The bullies were becoming the bullied, their unity fracturing under the weight of their own secrets. Amelia was there with me, her steady presence a comforting constant. "You're doing great, Charlie," she whispered one day, a smile tugging at the corner of her lips. As the bullies crumbled, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and freedom. The school corridors no longer held any fear for me. I was no longer the same Charlie. I was stronger, better, and finally free. As years slipped by, my secret became a whispering ghost haunting the school hallways. "Charlie was once the weakling. Remember?" they'd mutter, their eyes wide with awe. But it mattered little to me. I was in control. I was their hero, their villain. I was everything they feared and loved. With Veronica out of the picture, I stood in my glory, no longer afraid, no longer hiding. I walked with my head high, Amelia by my side, grinning at the world that once scared me. "But, Amelia," I said, my voice a notch lower than I'd have liked, "what if we ended up in different places?" She paused, looking at me with those deep, understanding eyes. "We'll figure it out, Charlie. We always do," she said, her voice firm and comforting. And we did. For a while. But as college acceptances rolled in, the inevitable happened. Amelia got into an art school in Paris, and I was stuck here, trying to launch a joke of a company on Twitter. The distance, the time difference, it all took a toll on us. We drifted apart, our daily calls and messages slowly tapering off until they were nothing but a weekly, "How are you?" text. It hurt, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I threw myself into my work. My silly Twitter company idea was actually getting traction. People were applying, investors were interested, and I was making it. In what felt like a blink of an eye, my silly Twitter company, BuzzBlaze, became a household name. I had created a social media platform, initially as a joke, where people could vent out their daily frustrations anonymously. It was an immediate hit. We were the new Agony Aunt, a platform for people to share their worries, their fears, their failures, and get support from strangers. Investors were intrigued by the traction, by the engagement rates, by the number of people applying for the jobs. They flooded in with offers, but I held my ground, wanting to retain control over my creation. Then, we hit 1 million users. It was a milestone worth celebrating. I decided to throw a launch party, a glitzy affair with investors, tech gurus, and celebrities. It was the perfect opportunity to show them what BuzzBlaze had become, and where it was heading. That's when I saw her. Amelia. She was one of the hostesses, looking absolutely stunning in a fitted black dress. Her hair was styled elegantly, her eyes sparkled with charm, and she had that same magnetic smile. My heart skipped a beat. "Amelia!" I called out, catching her attention. She turned around, her eyes widening in surprise. "Charlie?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. She took a step towards me, looking me up and down. "You've changed." "I could say the same about you," I replied, a grin spreading on my face. She laughed, a familiar sound that warmed my heart. "I can't believe it's you, Charlie," she said, her eyes scanning the buzzing party. "All of this is yours?" I nodded, unable to keep the proud smile off my face. "BuzzBlaze," I said, gesturing towards the logo emblazoned across the room. 1 million users, and counting. She looked at me, her eyes full of admiration. "You've done well, Charlie." "I guess," I chuckled. "Life's been interesting." And it had been. From the nerdy kid to the popular student to an entrepreneur, my life had been a roller coaster ride. And it was just the beginning.